Welcome to the Global Exclusive Podcast. My name is Shadow, and today we're joined by no one except Musbel. Just like this game, our podcast is right now broken. Everyone is either sick or not available. So, I guess we're running with a theme. Thanks, Gumi.
Yeah, and fittingly, since there's two of us on this podcast, there's also 2 units on this week's banner, I guess.
Yeah. Wow, this is such a dry week, but
I mean, the units are decent, I guess.
I like the units. It's just no word to use the units, but let's talk about Kalmia first, I guess. You want to talk about Kalmia?
So the first thing I want to say is that Kalmia is a unit who's been greatly delayed. Like, in JP, she came out during the 7-star era. She's one of the Season 3 characters, like Poppy and Cleome and whatever. And we skipped most of those units when Gumi was rushing to get to the NV units. And now they've been, it seems like they're going to backfill them a bit over time on NV GLX banners. Like, we got Poppy with the with Bahimi.
King Bahimi, remember? Yep.
Yeah, and then we're getting Kalmia with Cactuaria.
Kakarita?
Cafeteria?
Kaktiria? Okay, but you're right. She has been incredibly delayed. But
Yeah.
Tell us more about the unit if there's anything to salvage her after a year.
Yes and no. In JP, when she came out, the big selling point was that she could cure zombies. She was the first unit that could do that, and she can do it on demand. And even in GL, I think she's still one of only 2 units that can do it. The other one is Lotus Mage Fina, unless there's somebody I'm forgetting. And I don't think there is.
It's such a
But
niche mechanic, no one knows it.
Lotus Mage Fina can do it like once every 4 or 5 turns, and Kalmia can do it on demand. So, zombie isn't a mechanic that comes up that often, but when it does come up, it's usually a giant pain in the ass, so being able to just ignore it is a big help.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, there is an upcoming trial, the Amon trial, where he just like spam applies AoE zombie every single turn, and Kalmia is probably not going to work well for that, I assume.
Yeah. If people don't know, her zombie cure is single target.
Yes.
I mean, it's dual castable, but even then, like, that's not the most ideal situation to be in, to be dual casting your whole party. Zombies.
Yeah.
So.
And then aside from that, she's got a lot of normal healer stuff. She doesn't have ailment immunities, which is something that people tend to expect from healers these days. But she does have barriers. But the big thing that I think is more useful now than it was when she came out in JP is that she has a spammable single target imperil cure.
Hold on.
Which, this is not something that's like massively useful or completely amazing or anything. But take a fight like Asura, where your tank gets massive imperils constantly.
That's true.
It's very useful there. So I don't think that she's a must-have, but if you get her, she's one of the units that I can see people using sometimes.
I'm surprised she didn't open up with her STMR or TMR, but
the TM is a fine tank materia, I guess. HP, Spirit, LB fill stuff. The STMR is
it's another
utterly unremarkable.
It's one of those, like, all the healer STMRs just kind of overlap with each other, like, you know.
Yeah, there's like 15 of these STMR saves, and
exactly.
There's like 2 of them that are actually meaningfully different. Like, there's Lena's, which gives Dispelga, and maybe that's like the only one actually.
And the other ones are just big stat sticks. So.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't even that big of a stat stick either. I think we do have like a 180 some odd SPR staff.
Probably. So. I've honestly just stopped paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Because it never matters.
But so how many FanFest units do we actually have left? So now that we have 2, isn't there like 4 left? That means with them we're getting 4 more Season 3 units that we missed.
I know there's Cleome.
Yep. Daisy? No,
Daisy.
Did we get Daisy?
Yes. No, we did not get Daisy. Hang on, let me go to the JP unit list page. I'm sure that our listeners are very interested by this exciting content.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know if Green Mage Marie is considered one of those. Like, she's one of the units we skipped, but I don't know if she shows up in Season 3, because I skip all the Season 3 cutscenes.
I thought she was like one of those like collaboration units that we always skip, like the Monster Hunter units. But yeah.
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
Cleome. That looks about it. Because Cleome was, I think, the last Season 3 unit before NV started.
Oh, is Dagger? No, she's from FF9.
She's an FF9. Did we skip Dagger? Garnet. Yep. 7-star Garnet? Oh my goodness. Wow.
I mean, nobody cares about Final Fantasy 9.
I guess she goes into the same pool as we skipped OG Gabron. We skipped Cloud of Darkness 5-star. There's a few of them. That we did.
Is Belmera and Conchi? I don't know if these are future units or not. They might be. I think they are.
So the only reason that I bring this up is because Daisy and Cleome are DPS units, if I remember correctly.
Daisy's a tank.
Oh, Daisy's a tank. So she's probably dead in the waters anyways. But like, if Cleome even comes out like next batch of whatever FanFest units are, there's nothing saving her. Like, I think the other units, at least, there was some saving her. Like, I guess Kalmia is a healer, so if you're still missing a healer, she's not a bad healer. But yeah, I'm just wondering what they're going to do in the future. Because in JP, they released NVAs for Daisy and Cleome.
Yeah. Like, even Cleome's TM is, like, not great. It's a materia with 20% attack and 25% machine and undead killer. Mm-hmm. Which is like, killers are always nice, but that's too low. That feels like an event item that you use once in a blue moon. And then her STMR is a two-handed katana, and those always suck.
Yes, by God, they should really stop doing those two-handed katanas. And two-handed greatswords, for that matter.
Yeah. Daisy is not really any better in that department. Her TM is defense and LB autofill materia. Her STMR is an accessory with defense and a magic mitigation buff. I don't know, like, why is it defense and magic mitigation? Like, why not physical mitigation?
The ultimate combination when you need both, defense and magical mitigation. It covers both roles. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're not missing much, but I'm sure we'll get them eventually, since Gumi seems to have remembered that these units exist.
They probably realize that they're extra padding for the 5-star pool, and they probably want that.
I mean, I would not mind having Daisy in the pool, just because, like, even just for new players, having another tank in there is nice. But
True.
It's certainly not exciting. But yeah, Kalmia, fine healer, but not setting the meta on fire or anything.
See, what is more exciting is the next unit.
Yes, Cockatiel.
Cactuaria?
Cactustocracy?
Let's just call it Cac.
I'm so glad Barrows isn't here.
I know. This is top tier Barrows content. I'm sure he's like frothing at his mouth right now while listening.
He's frothing somewhere.
Oh God, Muspel. Cac is a breaker. She is probably the best NV breaker that we have, which isn't a high bar, but we can talk more about that.
We have a bunch of NV breakers that are more or less the same in terms of actual breaks, and just have like different other stuff they do. Like Fit is a healer, Bradley is a DPS, and so on. A bunch of them are DPS, actually.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them are DPS. But she's good. Like, I think she's really good. But we can talk more about her kit before we talk about anything else.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is that after the initial data mine, some stuff went up on the wiki, and it listed some of her skills as being, like, normal skills when they're actually Grandis skills, so she can only use them once per battle. Mm-hmm. And that was her single stat 87% breaks. So she has one for attack, one for magic, one for spirit, one for defense. And since those aren't on demand, it means that she's, like, mildly sensitive to bosses that you have to dispel a lot. Like this current event boss. Good job, Gumi, I guess. You made the event boss completely screw over the unit.
Which boggles my mind. Like, Why? What's the point of this event boss that completely counters this new shiny new unit? Like it's useless to bring Cac. So except for bonus, I
Well,
guess.
not useless. Like she can do breaks for 3 turns in a row without any real problem, and then she drops down to 80% if you have to keep dispelling every turn. But
Exactly.
you know,
Well, the awkward portion of this is that there are other breakers that do this better than she does, 100%. So
yeah. But in terms of sustaining breaks, she sustains 87% breaks unless you have to dispel fairly frequently, or unpredictably, because she has 87% on her LB, which the only unit that sustains higher than 85% other than her is Locke. He can do 90%, but it's difficult because he has 90% on his LB, but that only lasts 2 turns and it's fairly expensive. So you
mhm,
usually have to entrust him, and it's going to eat up half of his turns.
exactly.
So that's like it's powerful if you can do it, but it's not necessarily worth all the actions. And another thing I want to point out is that of the last 8 trials that have come out in JP, none of them have had stat passives. And what that means is that even very small differences in break percentages make a huge difference in damage taken. Going from an 85% to an 87% break cuts your incoming damage by about 25%.
Holy shit, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's huge. And going to a 90% break from 87% is, I think, like 40% mitigation.
So, in a world where there is no better alternative for 90% defensive breaks as an attack mac breaks, she is our best breaker for trials to live through them probably.
Yes. She cannot maintain 90% break. She has them on a Grandis that lasts 5 turns. So you can use it for like if you can either use it on turn 1 or you can save it for a threshold or something. But she's not maintaining that. She's maintaining 87%
And
typically.
even 87, as you said, is still a huge damage. I
Yeah.
guess
So if you're on any fight where
reduction.
your
Yeah.
units are at risk of dying and the boss does not have passives and like re-raise is not an option or something, then she can be very, very strong. The problem is that for a lot of the existing trials, that's not really the case. Like Asura has stat passives, so the 2% break difference is going to be pretty minor on that fight.
hmm The other
And there's only 2 trials that JP has that we don't, and that's Amon and the new one whose name I forget. It's some really long name.
Yeah, and this is where I bring up the inherent issue with the game. The cat as a unit is fantastic. She reminds me a lot of King Behemoth, which makes sense in that a very well made unit that's probably gonna give you a good bang for your buck. The issue is same thing, kind of same thing with Behemoth, is that there's really no content that's required to use her. Like if you bring her to DV, and I've seen opinions that she's really good for DV, but she is, but if you already have other breakers like SOS Lightning, which is already a better option than she is, or what's the other recent one?
Venera.
Venera. Yeah, if you have Venera, you're not going to bring CAC either. If you don't have either of them, I guess CAC is probably your best option. In water stages, she's actually really amazing because that's the other side of her, right? She's a mag physical scaling DPS, but
Yeah. Sorry. One thing I want to maybe we didn't mention this before. She does have 90% breaks, but only attack and magic. Her defense and spirit breaks are only 87%.
yeah.
I just want
So
to clarify that.
if that's the case, I feel like there's still an issue with the inherent game where there's no content to use units like hack, where you feel like it's good, and that's why there's a whole section of the community that thinks she's bad because the current slew of content we have is basically DV and that's it. Because we're not getting any new trials. Like I don't know if Sinzar ever mentioned this to anybody else, but like he was complaining that basically JP stopped making trials for the last few months. I mean, they got a new one recently, so we're only 2 behind JP.
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb. So
Yeah. Like, I'm glad that they're not shitting out terrible trials like Sandworm,
oh god,
but
yeah.
but the problem is that they're not doing anything. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted them to stop doing terrible bosses, but I wanted them to do good bosses instead. They've just done nothing.
So
But
we're at it. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, we should talk about Cactiria's TM and STMR and Vision card.
But before we do that, we've talked about her normal, but we haven't really talked about her Brave Shift.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Because her Brave Shift is kind of a different unit, right?
Yeah, so she is a damage dealer. A magic damage dealer, physical attacks with magic damage. So that means that she can use physical killers and imbues and whatnot. Um, like, Ace and Rem back in the 7-star era.
Hmm.
So her damage is pretty good. It's not like on par with the more recent units like Noctis and all that,
Yeah.
but she fits in pretty well around like last gen or whatever. And she can maintain breaks at like a 10 or 15% damage loss while dealing damage, which is pretty good.
Her damage potential is also like really high purely because she gears stupid easily. So like she has so much room for whatchamacallit, killers. Like I don't know if anybody ever tried gearing her physically. Like her whole her yeah, her she gears stupid easily. So you have so much room for killers and everything. She's probably our best magic damage dealer, period. Which is great.
Uh,
If we discount the summoners, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, unless it's a boss that has like actual physical mitigation, she's gonna beat all the like regular mages.
and she's not locked to her element technically.
Yeah, you can use imbues. You generally probably don't want to because you would need an elemental amp for whatever her other element is
Yeah.
if you're imbuing her with something else, but that's doable. It's just not necessarily something that you'll be able to fit into a normal team comp.
I think the hardest part about using CAC as a DPS is magical fists. Because other than the Ymir trial one and her own STMR, I can't think of a good option.
That's true, but like you can get her own STMR, and then there's one from the Ymir trial, and they're both like really solid weapons.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's certainly like it would be nice to have more weapon flexibility, but it's not like Ymir is impossibly hard or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even from the hardest one. I think it's from intermediate, so most people can probably do that.
Yeah, and the reason why it's important for her to use fists is because she has a fist in peril. So
Yeah. I guess the other downside of her is that she can't take advantage of external Robin perils from
yeah,
things like Rem, but it's
yeah.
a
So
minor
like
thing. Yeah.
when you look at her spreadsheet damage, what you see is what you get. With other mages, you can usually crank that up by what's Rem's in peril, 35%?
Yeah.
By 35% because I don't think any of the mages have their own rod in peril.
I can't think of any.
Yeah,
The only
so
exceptions would be like summoners, because summoners, like I think Terra has swords, so she dual cast swords anyways.
yeah,
So
so some of the summoners would use sword imperils instead. But yeah,
yeah,
like any unit that has a built-in weapon imperil, like
yep.
if you're talking about DV, then they don't necessarily grow as much compared to their spreadsheet damage as
Hmm.
another unit might.
So, I mean, she's a very good unit, and I. But now we can talk about her TMR, STMR, Vision card. Musbell's favorite
Yeah.
topic.
The vision card is actually like fairly good. It has 110 flat magic, which is tied for the highest. I think the only other card that has that is Ibarra, which is limited.
Yep.
The problem is that two of the passives are magic when equipped with a fist, which for most mages is not great. But equip fist does exist, and so does the mirror fist. So even if you're not using Kaktiria, you can do that on somebody else,
Hmm.
or you can use her STMR. And then the level 10 passive is 50% magic for an FFBE unit, which is a lot of units like Shui Yu or whatever. So, this is probably one of the best mage cards in the game, I guess.
Yeah, it is, and I've seen people trying to downplay it because of the 70% fist that's tied to fist. Even if you ignore that, 50% mag to FFB, I mean FFB unit restriction is probably the best restriction you could hold for a vision card, right?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah.
I think this is a great card, and
I,
it's a
I
cute
would I would
card.
not pull for her for this card, but
No,
I would say that for pretty much any card.
yeah, it's still our highest permanent mag card, so there's still that,
Yeah,
which is whatever value you give it, I guess. Overall, she's a great unit that I think is only undersold purely because people can't think of an immediate reason to use her.
yeah. Her STMR is a fist with 200 magic, 20% HP, and some killers. High stats, but it's a fist, so aside from her, most units are not going to be able to equip it natively. Um, it does have both physical and magical killers, so sometimes you might find it worth using equipped fist on another mage and then giving them Kakiria's vision card, and this Although that's only really going to be relevant after Kaktiria herself gets power crept, because for now you would just use it on her.
And even the killers, right? The beasts and demons, she has innate, I think 150% or some shit like that. So with the STM, she'll be at 200. So with the
Yeah.
Or she's a innate 100. Sorry. So she's already half capped with this STM. So like, yeah, you just cack by that point.
Yeah, and then her TM is just a flat magic accessory with 50% magic. You can upgrade it from the event to also get some elemental resists. It's fine. It's basically a slightly upgraded Nutkin hairpin.
Nutkin hairpin used to be so good. Not that you mentioned it.
I mean, kind of. It was like the best mage accessory, but that was mostly just because mage accessories sucked.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, those are the 2 units.
Yeah, but we did get a bunch of quality of life upgrades this week.
And that's where the real shit is, to be honest. There's one specific one that I think everyone will fucking appreciate. So
yeah,
the inventory search function. How long did it take us? 4 years? 4 years, and we finally have the technology to search our inventory. 5, almost 5.
It's very nice. I know why it doesn't, because realistically it would be annoying if it did, but there's times when I wish that it like saved what you typed in the search box in between switching different gear slots, but it would more often be annoying, because there's a lot of times when I wish it did it for accessories, but nothing else really.
I tried using the search box because sometimes I don't remember the name. Just typing in like a plant, so for plant killer, and that worked too. I think this is surprisingly robust.
Really? Maybe that works for some items. I think it works if like the passive is named that.
Yeah, if the passive has some sort of like names plant on it, I think that's how.
Yeah, but I don't think it works if it's just like if it has a passive without that in the name and that's the effect.
Oh yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. As long as the passive description has that still works too, which is really cool, I think.
I don't think it works if it's in the passive description. I think it has to be like the actual name of the passive.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've barely used the search function myself. I would have to experiment more. I could be wrong on this.
Well, I've been using it this DV, just because that's the only reason I stopped playing DV for a while, because like I hated gearing and re-gearing my units because scrolling. But now that I can just type in the name of the weapon and it's there, so I find that really cool.
Yeah, and the other major change that they made is that you can do bulk fusion of units.
One button press. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is very helpful after like a big summoning session or whatever, or just I'm pretty sure that basically anybody who's played for a while had a bunch of units that they hadn't bothered to fuse yet.
How many inventory spaces did you save with it?
I don't actually know. Like a bunch of my stuff I had just crammed into reserves and I then took them back out. So
there is a reserve option. You can just press reserve 2 and it'll combine everything into reserves as well.
Yeah, but there's some stuff in reserves that's like limited units that I don't want to fuse dupes of.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense. I was at 4. I was almost capped at. So I'm at 4. My cap is 1400, but I was like 1396, and then now I'm at 920. So this helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm trying to think. There were some other things too, but I don't remember what they were.
Well, all these updates also broke the game, so there's that.
A little, yeah. Like the daily thing for the new event is non-func. It started crashing on Friday. Yeah. So that was not great.
I've also seen people say that certain passives or certain enhancements that should have been applied came into as well before they fixed that as well. It was like that last week, I think, too. So
I'm trying to remember. Did they change something about summons?
Like what did they change about summons?
Wise? Maybe I'm misremembering. I feel like there was something else, like not as big as those two, but
it was a massive update. But I'm kind of curious why they don't promote these further. Like I've never seen them in the Tuesday news. Did you? I don't think it was there.
I think they usually like put them in the news, but it's like just one line in the patch notes. They don't like hype it up beforehand, which is surprising to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a bigger deal among Reddit than it is among most of the community, and most people just don't give a shit. But
that'd be so sad. This is the most exciting shit ever.
Yeah.
DV's now playable.
This is one of the best weeks that we've had all year.
I mean, it's not the best event, but yes, it is definitely the best app update, 100%. Which is kind of sad, I think. The only thing I really wish is that they gave us the EX stages back, because now I actually have to farm the fucking thing. But anyways, there's not much to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's a pretty slow week.
I pulled CAC, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I just burned. I wanted a copy of Kalmia just because, like I said, it's not like she's a must-have, but I find Zombie to be really annoying, and I'd like a better way to deal with it, so I wanted a copy of her. So I burned some tickets until I got one. It's not really worth it. It's just,
yeah.
I have so many tickets, I may as well.
Dude, I have no tickets. I burn them every week, every time I get it real time.
Yeah, I have I have sort of an opposite problem where once your ticket stockpile gets to a certain size, it's too slow to spend it, so it just keeps building. So I pretty much, like, I think right now I have 110 tickets between 3-star and 4-star.
What the fuck?
I'll like spend 10 to 30 on a banner if there's something I really want. Like Kalmia.
Does Natsa still have like a ridiculous ticket count? I remember last time he had like over 900. And that was like kind of crazy.
I know he spent some of them to get Cecil, like Paladin Cecil back in the day, but that was a long time ago. I have no idea where he's at now.
He might have spent some on Sephiroth, actually. Who knows? He definitely would have spent on Sephiroth.
I would imagine so. That's his Discord avatar, anyways.
What a surprise. Well, listeners, we've dripped this content dry, I think. Is there anything else you want to add this week? Mustbell, this is going to be a really short episode.
Are there any Cactuaria nicknames that we didn't get to use?
Cactar girl, Cactar waifu, Kaktiria. I'm trying to think.
Cockatrice.
I want to kind of talk about the design, I guess, before we go. Is that I think this was my favorite of all of the design contest units, purely because like King Behemoth is a behemoth and that exists, and I mean all kudos to the creator who made it, but it's just that Cactuaria is one of those things that, yes, there is a Cactuar, but they took an inspiration from Cactuar and created a whole new thing, and I think this is really, really, really cool. So I just want to give kudos to the creator.
Great job. Like I look at Cactuaria and I don't think Cactuar, I think Cactus Lady. She doesn't, like, aside from both being associated with cacti, she doesn't really have anything in common with Cactuars in terms of looks.
Yeah. When were they revealed? Were they revealed last year in the... What was it called?
I don't know. I did not really pay attention to the fan-designed units.
Really? You didn't vote for anything? I guess not.
I think I might have voted for Beryl. I don't even remember if Cactuaria was in that one. But yeah, I don't know. I generally don't care that much about sprites, so I usually don't pay any attention to that kind of competition because I feel like my opinion doesn't matter since I don't care.
Oh, it looks like it was 2019.
Oh, so, this was very timely and efficient development speed,
yeah,
I guess.
Not late at all. Huh, interesting. So the vote happened in 2019. I don't know when it was revealed, like the results or something. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Oh, well, hang on. The wiki has a link.
Oh, can you send me that
the other stuff. There was a magic attacker, Yigni, YGNI. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Yigni the Banished Moogle?
Yeah.
And then...
Here, Jesus Christ. The names of these things sound like Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
But are the descriptions as long as fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Forbidden abilities, synchro. Okay, I'm like 80% sure that these are the names of Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics. Who else? There's somebody on a fat chocobo, it looks like. Bulwark, the melodic mascots, which is a Moogle, a Cactuar, and a Tonberry riding on top of a fat chocobo, which is like... There was a rule about not using FFBE mascots, right?
There was a rule of not using Square Enix property, I think. But Gumi broke that rule by themselves when they allowed Barrel to exist. So, I
Okay,
mean,
so I just feel like this is the most flagrant rule breaking possible.
yeah, they just combined like 4 different shit together and called it a day. I mean, maybe they remove that rule for the next contest, this specific contest that we're looking at right now. Who knows? Well, you know what I find interesting about the fan design units? The bosses are the most interesting because they're all original, right? Like
Yeah,
the last boss, what was his name? Crap. Um,
Kairos.
yeah, Kairos. That thing, that shit should have been the unit. That was such a great looking thing. Even this boss, I think it's great. It's a wasteful thing that it's an event boss and it's gone, and I'm really sad that some people will miss it.
I wonder if they might come back in the Chamber of the Vengeful. Like, I know that's kind of an abandoned feature by now, but
Yeah,
who knows?
that's true. That's true. That could come back. But I feel like I've said it before. Kak was probably my favorite when I saw her. I'm glad that they did her pretty good justice. The other one, I guess the healer was really cool. Kresnik. Yeah, Kresnik was his name. But other than that, the other ones really didn't catch my eyes.
Yeah.
Holy crap! They revealed this in 2019 live stream. So this was 2 years ago, before the NV era. They were supposed to be 7-star units. Holy crap! Oh wow, that took them a while.
Uh, More like a year and a half, because this was like at the end of 2019.
That's true. But even
But
then,
yeah, it's been quite a while.
all right.
But yeah,
Well,
I think we're probably running out of topics for this week. So
the fact that we went 30 minutes, I think, is really respectable, and we put in a lot of effort just for our 2 listeners out there. So
yeah. But next time, Dream and Cotton are not allowed to miss the episode.
yes, and my goodness, we really need to see Cotton again before she's just. I think in the last 3 months, since there's been on more than Cotton never has. So
That's why I gave him his own channel on the Discord server.
that's perfect. Perfect.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
All right, cue the chocobos.